In the past 30 days, my side hustle has generated me $738,000. Why am I showing you that? Well, just to tell you that if I can do it, you can do it. All right, this business, Pete and Pedro, I started for $3,000 in a spare bedroom of my house. And over the past 10 years, it hasn't been fast, it hasn't been sexy, but I've been able to grow. And today, what I'd actually like to share with you are some of the biggest learnings and lessons that has allowed me to go from $3,000 to over $9 million a year. So the reason why I wanted to share my numbers and actually do this video today is because I feel like there's a lot of misinformation out there online when it comes to starting a business, running a business, scaling a business, or growing a business. Because I think that a lot of people that are trying to teach you or sell you some type of course or, tricks or hacks in order to grow and scale and do this, and all you got to do is that they basically oversimplify things. I'm not saying that these people haven't done it, most of them haven't, but I feel like I have a unique perspective when it comes to growing businesses, right? Over my career, I've owned over 20 businesses, right? Some of them have worked incredibly well, some of them have failed, and some of them have crashed and burned. But Pete and Pedro specifically, I have learned a lot, and today I'd like to share some of the things that really they don't talk about when it comes to helping you grow or scale a business, because it's not sexy. And that's the first thing I just want you to understand, right? When it comes to growing a business, building a business, it's not fast. All right, anybody who tries to say, oh, it's going to explode and all you're going to do is this, and then boom, you're going to be off to the races and you're going to be selling $10,000 a week on Amazon is lying to you, like, period, right? Not saying you can't do that, right? But it's going to take time. It also takes you basically in the trenches, breaking rocks every single day. Nothing's fast, nothing's sexy. But if you build a strong business, you are going to be amazed at what happens if you're smart, which brings me to number 2, right? And that is you've got to choose and pick a product that people want and use, right? You also need to choose a product that is a smart product. Now, what makes a good product versus a bad product, right? One of the reasons why Pete and Pedro is a great product is that A, guys use it, right? They also reuse it. When it runs out, they rebuy it, all right? If you're selling something like apparel or a t-shirt, how many times a year are they gonna come back to buy a t-shirt? Probably once, like that's it, right? And then you've got to constantly come out with new things to try to get them to buy like new things in order for you to increase your average order value or your lifetime value. Well, with a grooming product like Pete and Pedro, it's something that's consumable. It's consumable, right? You buy it, you try it, you love it, and then you rebuy it, right? And so you've got a customer that's coming back a few times a year. And then if you add additional products, right, they're going to be buying those a few times a year, right? It's consumable and it runs out, right? The next thing, it's got to be an amazing product in terms of quality. Do not ever sell something that you aren't proud to talk about or you wouldn't use yourself, period, right? And that's one of the things. The reason why I started this business in the first place is because I was frustrated, right? I was solving my own problem. I was tired of going into the store and having like a product line where one or two of the products would be good, but all of them weren't like rock stars. I was frustrated. I was like, you know what? There's got to be a better way, right? And so I reached out to a bunch of different companies that sold like private label or white label hair product, and I found a line that I loved every single product that they sold, right? They were amazing. They were rock stars in the respective categories, which brings me to something else. All right, white labeling is an amazing opportunity, all right? White labeling, private labeling, basically it's some other manufacturer is making a product that's already been tested, it's already been approved, it's got all the legal parameters all figured out, and basically they're going to allow you to put your logo on it. Now, the other cool thing is that with the private label, you can very easily tweak it, whether or not it's the scent or it's a formula or it's new packaging, like you can totally customize it to make it your own. Now that we have grown to the point that we have with Pete and Pedro, our entire product line is custom. We do huge orders, right? But starting out, right, it limits the risk. And that's one of the other reasons why white labeling or private labeling is so amazing, is because your capital contribution that you're going to have to basically come out of pocket for in order to test it and get started is relatively low. If you were doing something completely custom, like you're going to a manufacturer, you're saying, hey, I want to develop this and this is what I want, right? If they're having to actually make something custom for you starting out, you're going to have to order like 5,000 minimum order quantities, maybe 10,000 depending on the product that you're actually selling. And so with Pete and Pedro, I started the business for $3,000. I ordered 5 products, 96 units of each product. And it allowed me to test it, allowed me to try it, it allowed me to get my business started for a very low opening order quantity, not to mention price. My first year, Pete and Pedro, I did $30,000, right? And I thought I was like the king. I was like, hell yeah, $30,000, like that's a lot, right? You back it out, you do the math, it's only a few $1,000s a month, but the bottom line is that I was building a brand, and that's one of the other beautiful things behind white labeling or private labeling versus like drop shipping. Drop shipping, all you're doing is basically going to some manufacturer or groups of manufacturers that sell a bunch of different products, right? And then you're saying, hey, I like that, I'm gonna sell it on my website. Well, the truth is that all of the steps in order to like sell it in terms of setting up some type of social media, a website, all that stuff, it's all the same. And so for me, I feel like building a white label business and your own like brand is a lot more powerful. It has a lot more potential and a lot more growth potential, in my opinion. And real quick, before I move on and tell you some other tips and strategies, all the stuff that I am sharing with you today is just scratching the surface. If you are interested in starting a business, starting a side hustle, all right, I've got the White Label Empire. I'm going to link to it down below. All right, go and watch the free 20-minute tutorial where I actually walk you through real time, like step by step, how to actually start a sunglass company, right? But you can apply this to pretty much anything. I want you to steal this information and I want you to do it for yourself. But after watching it, if you really want to get a little bit more insider information, not to mention a group and a community of amazing entrepreneurs and people that are all on the grind and all trying to do something amazing that come together to support each other. We have weekly 2-hour coaching calls. We're in there every single day, answering questions, engaging, and really helping guys and girls become millionaires. I want you to hit that link and I want you to join. I want you to be successful. And I truly feel like the White Label Empire is the best thing I've ever done in my life. And the reason is because I am helping people realize their dream. I am helping them realize financial freedom. I am helping them realize basically the fact that they are amazing and they can accomplish anything and they're not a fucking loser like I felt like my entire life. Anyway, hit the link down below, guys. Go watch the video, and then if you're interested, sign up. We would love to have you and help you on the inside. So anyway, year number 1, I did $30,000, and I was like, this is awesome, right? And that's the thing. It starts slow. And then year number 2, I did $60,000. Year number 3, I did $120,000. And then it started to really pick up, all right? It wasn't fast. It wasn't like explosive. I was doing the things I needed to do in order to grow strategically and profitably, which is the next lesson I need you to hear. And that is, you've got to make sure you're building a profitable business. There's a lot of buzz. There's a lot of people that think, oh, I'm going to just grow a business and then I'm going to sell it for $100 million to some big company. That's what we thought with T. Shanley. And we came to realize that those days are kind of gone, right? What you need to focus on is profit. You need to focus on the bottom line. A lot of people get excited, right? A lot of the videos you're going to see entrepreneurs talking about like starting businesses and I did X number of dollars per month and whatever, right? They always talk about that top line, that sexy number, right? The big, sexy number that they're doing every month, every day, every week, every year. What they don't talk about is the bottom line. That number after all the expenses are paid, after all the marketing, after the rent is paid and the lights are paid, like everything. Like, what is that bottom number, right? For me, the bottom line is pretty simple. I look for a 22 to 25% profit margin, which means if I'm making 10 million, to me, the profit is going to be anywhere between 2.2 million to 2.5 million. All right. Now, that's awesome, right? But you got to understand that in order to do that, you can't get sloppy with your spending. You also can't get sloppy with your inventory, which is the next thing and lesson that I learned. You got to make sure you keep your expenses as low as possible, and that includes your inventory, all right? Think of inventory as dollar bills sitting on the shelf. If it's sitting on the shelf, like all this stuff right behind me, if it sits there, I can't use any of that money in order to do anything. I can't order new products. I can't develop new products. I can't take it out to buy a yacht. I can't give it to my staff in order to pay their rent or their bills or give them bonuses or the lights. I can't do anything with it. You've got to make sure that, in my opinion, you start low and you grow, all right? One of the big mistakes is that people overestimate, or they are a little bit too like optimistic when it comes to what they're going to do or how they're going to grow, right? They think best case scenario. The truth is, best case scenario pretty much never happens. You've got to prepare yourself. I personally would order as little or as low a quantity to start. Test the market. If you sell out, great, right? You can still have an email capture in order to get people that are interested to sign up to be notified when you get more inventory. But it's better to sell out and have little risk and little overhead as opposed to having too much that you don't know whether or not you're going to be able to move or the time in which it's going to take to move it. But I can't do it by myself, and neither can you, which brings me to the next thing and lesson and reason why I've been able to grow, and that is I have hired really great, amazing people that have my back. And coincidentally, I have theirs. I also pay them very well. And that's something else, all right? There are a lot of business owners that really are so like stingy and try to keep all the profit to themselves. And so they try to pay people like minimum wage or something like super low. Us, that's the opposite, right? I let everybody know what the numbers are. I let everybody know what the goals are. And we're talking about profit margin. We're talking about everything. Everybody is engaged in the overall business, right? And if the business does well, they're going to do extra well. We're going to do amazing bonuses, right? They take care of me. I take care of them. We take care of each other. It's a family, and I trust them. And that's the thing. They trust me. I am not the best leader. Period. I don't do a great job. I got to be honest. And I definitely don't micromanage people. But they all trust me. And they know that I've got their back. And I will do and I will protect them. And I will do whatever I need to do. And I will sacrifice myself first before I would let anything affect them. And this is something that's very powerful, right? When you get people that are amazing around you and better than you or smarter than you in the respective areas, it's amazing what happens. But you've got to be willing to toss the keys. When I hired my marketing director, Mike Levy, I've known him for a long time, right? He was basically the marketing director for the Grooming Lounge. We met a long time ago, and for a while, like, he had approached me. He's like, hey, I think we could really do some amazing things at Pete and Pedro. I want to come and help you grow the company. And I, at the time, was very reluctant. I was like, wait a second, if I do that, that means I've got to pay you a salary. It's going to be more than I pay other people, and I just don't know, and I want to keep control, and I was preventing the business from actually growing. But when I finally was smart enough to let somebody who was better at their job and better at the vision, better at the growth, better at leadership in terms of the places that I needed leadership help with, it was amazing what happens. Now, one of the big things that people say is, well, when he came in, did you have to work less? No, I actually had to work more because I wasn't doing a lot of the things that I needed to do. And so when he came in, he basically analyzed the business, he retooled it, and he gave me work to do. But over the years, it has been amazing what's happened. When you actually allow the people that are better at their job or better at the skill sets that you're not great at, you allow them to do what they do. They thrive and they help you and they help each other as a team grow. And that's the thing. You've got to be a unit, and you can't overhire. And that's the next thing. Once again, it's about keeping your expenses low. Start in a bedroom and don't grow. Don't think that you need a big fancy warehouse or a big fancy office. All right. It's about keeping your expenses low. Don't hire people you don't need, right? If there's something that you need to do, you need to do it. Now, the one caveat to that is that if your time is better suited doing something that's going to move the needle in terms of the business or the growth of the business long term, it's definitely time to hire somebody. Like, it's not in my best interest to sit here and pack orders every day, right? Even though that's what I did for the first 3-4 years of the business, now my time is better suited doing the bigger overarching things that are actually going to help the business move the needle. And so if there's a way to hire somebody that's going to add value or help you grow or help you increase your top line or bottom line, that's when you do it. But don't just hire a bunch of people because you think it'd be cool to have a big team. How many employees do we have? Right, this year we'll do over $10 million. I've got 7 full-time employees. That's it. And then I've got 2 or 3 part-time people that work a few hours a day or a week, right? And we have been able to grow to that level, right? And the cool thing is that once you find people that are really good, that you trust, that actually get shit done, it's amazing, right? You're not wasting money, you're more effective, you're more efficient, and you're also making more money, bottom line, all right? Keep your expenses as low as possible, but don't stifle your own growth because you're too ignorant and you're trying to control everything when it's actually time for you to hand the keys to somebody else to help you grow better. The next thing you have to do is be honest with yourself. What are you good at? What are you bad at? And whatever you're bad at, it's time to find somebody that can actually fill that gap or that hole in order to help you grow and scale. All right. The next thing, we got to talk about marketing because marketing, unfortunately, is the big black hole of advertising and business, right? It's tricky because a lot of people think, oh, I'm just going to hire an agency or I'm just going to do this big top funnel video that's going to be thousands of dollars and I'm going to find a viral video and then that's it. I'm good. And they look for an easy button. Unfortunately, what I found through Pete and Pedro and Tiege Hanley, which Tiege Hanley is 3 times the size of Pete and Pedro, right? And that's another business that I co-founded. And that business was built and set up very differently than Pete and Pedro. Pete and Pedro is a lifestyle business, right? I'm not looking to exit this. I'm not looking to sell it. I'm looking to basically make money and basically grow a business, right? But I do it strategically and profitably, right? Tiege Hanley, different mindset, right? It's about growth. It's about growing the top line. But in recent years, we've realized that we need to tighten it up and we really need to focus more about profitability. But Tiege Hanley, one of the things that we've done over the years is wasted a tremendous amount of money on these like big, sexy top funnel videos that we think are going to go like viral, right? It's a huge waste of money. It's a huge mistake. All right. Agencies. That's another thing you got to understand. If you're hiring an agency, you got to make sure you understand and have a metric at which to basically hold their ass accountable, because agencies are notorious, whether or not it's marketing, it's advertising, it's whatever, right? They are notorious for blowing smoke up your ass and massaging the numbers to make it look like they're doing the work or they're doing things that are actually moving the needle, when the truth is a lot of it is organic. Guys, you got to make sure you have your finger on the pulse when it comes to marketing. And don't just think, oh, I'm getting a 1x ROAS, return on ad spend, and things are good. Are they? Or are you losing your ass? The truth is, if you're only getting a 1x on the ad spend, you're losing money. Now, does it mean that you shouldn't do that? Not necessarily. There are a lot of other numbers and information that you need to consider, like lifetime value. All right, even if you're losing money on that first order, maybe you make it up. Maybe you have data that shows that that customer is going to be around for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 years, right? And you know, okay, I'm going to spend a little bit more money now in order to acquire them as a customer, because I know long-term averages and statistically speaking, I'm going to make a lot more money in the long term. But a lot of companies go broke because they never figure out that customer acquisition game. And that's something that Pete and Pedro has done incredibly well, right? There are different ways to massage the numbers. There are different ways to basically utilize your marketing capital most effectively, right? And that's one of the things we do on Amazon. Amazon has been a huge game changer that I just actually, why don't I show you that too, since I'm being honest right now. All right, this past month, 30 days, right there, up there, can you see it? $491,000 on Amazon alone. Brings me to the next lesson, and that is diversification, right? Even though you may have a great .com business where you're sending a lot of traffic, whether or not you have a YouTube channel, you're doing a lot of great ads, like you've got a lot of influencers talking about your products, right? Whatever, right? And they're going to your .com. Diversification is key because, as they say, if all of your eggs are in one basket and that basket busts, boom, right? It explodes and then you're dead in the water, all right? And that's one of the big things. A lot of people think, oh, I don't want to be on Amazon because I don't want to be on Amazon, right? Amazon is here to stay, and it's only getting bigger. It's only getting better. I personally was not a huge fan. I didn't want to be on Amazon because I thought to myself, I want people going to PeteandPedro.com. I want people buying there because my profit margin is a lot better. I don't have to give Amazon their cut. Well, like it or not, people go to Amazon and only shop at Amazon. And if you're not there, you're not going to get the business. They're not going to be like, oh, well, I can't find Pete and Pedro. I'm going to go to PeteandPedro.com. It doesn't work like that. You think it would. It doesn't. They're going to just choose a different product. And so you got to be where people are. You got to be where the eyeballs are. You got to be where people want to buy. And you've got to make it as easy and frictionless as possible in order to get them to buy and make money. Period. And so for Amazon, I think that is the low-hanging fruit, right? Whether or not you've got a .com, Amazon is something where I feel like every single person selling anything should actually be. The next thing I want to talk about is don't get discouraged when bad shit happens, because it always happens. And that's the other thing you got to understand. If you are going to go down the entrepreneurial rabbit hole, you got to understand that basically being an entrepreneur and being in business is constantly getting punched in the fucking face. But it's about figuring out ways to dodge and duck and pick yourself up. It's not about avoiding the punches. It's about being able to be punched and still being able to continue forward. And that's something that I learned, right? And you got to understand that just when you think things are going awesome and everything's moving in the right direction, that's when you're going to get punched in the face. And then you think, okay, cool, we figured that out. And then bang, they hit you in the back of the knees, Tanya Harding style. Gentlemen, it is a system and a constant battle to try to keep going forward and endure the punches. You're always going to have shit happen. It's not you. You're not special. It's not that you did something wrong or you did something right. It's that you are an entrepreneur. And entrepreneurs get punched in the fucking face. But the key is when something goes wrong to act quickly. all right, and be nimble enough in terms of your corporate structure, your business, in order to change directions quickly. And this is one of the things that has really honestly allowed us to endure some of these punches and figure shit out, right? Because if you're a big company and in order to change something, you've got to change a lot of different things. You've got to have meetings, you've got to do that, you've got to have corporate planning sessions, and you've got to have control. No. Here at Pete and Pedro, if something's wrong, fuck it. Figure it out and change it. If something goes wrong, right, or there's a problem with their order or whatever it is, or the product, if you just communicate with them and explain and then make it right, they will still roll with you. The problem arises when people go like, and they don't communicate. Customer service is critical. And this is something that I didn't understand early on, right? I was always like, F them, I don't care, whatever, right? And my mom was actually the one that really educated me on this. And she happens to be one of my customer service people, because nobody is gonna protect me better than my mom, but also she's protecting my brand and she's protecting my image, and she's thinking about how can she solve problems that isn't going to F me in the process, but also make the customer happy so that they then don't talk bad about you. All right, because reviews, that's something else you got to understand. Reviews are critical in today's economy. Businesses thrive or recess based on feedback from our peers and the reviews. If your reviews are good, great news. More people are going to be more apt to actually buy or try your products. If they're shit, if you have a product that is bad, or somebody has a bad customer experience, right? They're gonna never come back. They're also gonna bitch super loud. The people that are not happy, these are the people that shout it from the rooftops. Your advocates, these are fewer and far between. They're not gonna be as vocal. They're not gonna be the ones that are going out and talking about your products to all their friends. But if somebody has a bad experience or gets a bad product, or you don't treat them properly, then these are the people that are basically going to shout it from the rooftops and let everybody know that you suck and not to buy your product. You can't risk it. You have to make sure that customer service and the customer experience is amazing. Last thing I'd just like to share with you is it's not fast and it's not sexy. I want to go back to that point, because in today's world, in today's social media climate, it seems like we want fast, we want immediate. If it's not growing 10 times over in a year, then you're a failure, then you suck. If you're not having a bunch of money in order to drive a Lambo, like, you suck and your business isn't actually successful. This is complete bullshit. You gotta understand that the fundamentals in terms of a successful business still work. It's still good to have profit. Profit is a beautiful thing, and do not be embarrassed, do not be fearful of charging what your product is actually worth, right? One of the mistakes that people make is that they try to compete on price alone. If you're competing solely on price, you're gonna lose, period. Because you're never gonna be cheap enough, and you're always gonna be scraping by. You're not gonna have enough margin. Gentlemen, the name of the game is profit. You gotta make sure that you are pricing your products successfully, and basically, you've got enough margin in there in order to do what you're gonna need to do when it comes to marketing, advertising, paying yourself, keeping the lights on. But competing on price, don't do it. Instead, build brand, build a personality, build the perceived value, and sell amazing products. If you do this, if you focus on the fundamentals, you will be amazing at what happens. It's not fast, it's not sexy, but it's possible. If I can do it, so can you.